Hi, everyone. This is Lawrence Watkins, and welcome to the Financial Juneteenth 5. These are my five most interesting articles as it relates to Black finance, wealth, and business for today, November 5th, 2020. Let's go ahead and get started. All right. So, the lead article today comes from CNBC.com. And the headline states BET founder Robert Johnson says voting Democrat gives Black Americans minimal returns. So, in a recent interview, Black entertainment television founder Robert Johnson, so Bob Johnson, doesn't have much faith in a potential Joe Biden presidency. In fact, he doesn't see the Democratic Party as a good choice for African Americans altogether, he told CNBC. I think Black Americans are getting a little bit tired of delivering huge votes for the Democrats and seeing minimal returns in terms of economic wealth and closing the wealth gap, the job creation and job opportunities gap as well. And Joe Biden was not an inspiring candidate for many Black Americans, and some of them stay at home. Some of them voted for Trump as well. So those were, some of Bob Johnson's quotes. He goes on to state, Black people do not embrace Biden as he never articulated a policy that went directly to the concerns of Black Americans. I don't think Biden has that leadership quotient that's going to allow him to do what is critical to bring the economy back due to the trade off between restoring the economy and fighting the pandemic. All right. So the article then goes on to talk about how Trump has touted low Black unemployment during his term, overseeing the lowest U.S. Black unemployment level in the history before the pandemic, as well as his administration's criminal justice reform policies. Bob Johnson then states, if you can't bring the economy back for everybody, you darn sure can't bring it back for Black Americans because we're at the bottom of the rung in terms of economic opportunity and economic access to wealth, capital, and also income. Johnson has long argued for more to be done for Black economic mobility, including endorsing reparations for slavery amounting to $14 trillion dollars from the federal government. He also expressed being fed up with what he described as placebo paternalism from white liberals. And he goes on to explain what he believes this is. So what I believe is is that mainstream media and white liberal population in general, the only thing that they address the Black community is what I call placebo paternalism. Excuse me. We will say nice things about you. We will talk about your suffering. We will say that there's racism throughout the land. But when you go to the core issues of what Black Americans really need, that's access to capital, access to wealth, and access to income. They don't actually do that. I saw this, or I thought this was interesting from a quote perspective, a perspective in the article. It says that 1 in 3 Black men living in the Midwest voted for Trump this year. That's according to an NBC News poll of early in election day voters. And a recent pre election poll by Upshot found that the racial gap in presidential preference has shrunk by 16% as Trump makes gains with Black and Hispanic voters also. So I found this article to be very interesting today. Bob Johnson has some strong words for the Democratic Party and the Democratic leadership. Let's see if anything comes out of it. It's still up in the air who the president is going to be today. It's looking like Joe Biden, but we don't know until we actually know. All right. So the next article today comes from Afrotech. Afrotech is written by Vanessa Taylor. It says, Black people drive the culture around tech, and it's time that we start reaping the financial benefits. So it's an undeniable fact that Black people drive popular culture, and tech is no different. There's a stat in here that says, in fact, as of 2018, of these 67 million users on Twitter, 28% were Black, according to Nielsen. And that is in reference to the concept of Black Twitter that is widely popular. Also, the African American podcast audience has skyrocketed 70% from 2014 to 2017, and 73% of African Americans 13 and older play video games, an industry notorious for using Black culture without paying the people who create it. So Vanessa goes on to say, although Black people continue to be one of the main drivers behind the tech industry, we aren't receiving many of its financial benefits. With the tech industry rapidly expanding, many wonder if it may be the key to putting a dent into the ever widening racial wealth gap. So right now, the tech industry is predominantly white and male, as we all know. So about 83% of tech executives are white. And that's according to the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. Although it seems that every year some big company steps forward with intentions to increase their diversity, not much has changed. Black people may be shaping how tech is used, but that doesn't translate to the makeup of the tech's, or excuse me, of tech's workforce. She states, Vanessa, tech feeding off feeding off of black cool is a parasitic relationship that, with impacts that translate outside of the digital sphere. It goes on to talk about how entrepreneurship isn't much different in the tech arena. So they talk about tech jobs in terms of employment, but as it relates to entrepreneurship, while entrepreneurship is often touted as a way to defeat the wealth gap, there are big disparities when it comes to startups. The number of Black women founded tech startups has more than doubled since 2016, according to Project Diane. But those who do have a startup, or excuse me, but those who do have a startup are not receiving adequate funding. Since 2009, Black women led startups have received 0.0006% of the $424 billion in total tech venture funding, the report found out as well. She goes on to end the article by stating, Black people have been the force behind American culture for decades. Our language, music, and way of being have been taken from us without credit and time and time again. The tech industry is no exception, but people can still create space outside of the mainstream to credit and recognize its true entrepreneurs and innovators. And this comes from, once again, this comes from Vanessa. What's Vanessa's last name? Vanessa Taylor. So this actually is an older article. It popped up in my feed today, but this is from early in the year, in March 27th, 2020. I actually kind of disagree with this article a little bit. So I do agree that Black people drive the culture around tech, and it's time for us to start reaping the financial benefits. I don't see a clear path of that happening, via corporate America, though. The tech industry is, of course, in liberal centers, right? Usually like Silicon Valley, Austin, Texas, that type of thing. But at the same time, their rates of Black employment is continuing to be, very minuscule. Like Facebook has 3%, and Twitter has 5%, and then like Google might have 3% too, or something like that, right? So my conclusion is that the tech industry really doesn't need Black people. So in order for us to leverage our culture, it's going to be important for us to build our own, or else it's just it's just not going to happen in terms of employment and also VC funding as well. But let me know what you think in the comments. You might think something different, and I'm open to and would love to hear the comments that you actually have regarding this subject too. All right. So the next article today comes from the Scanner. So it states applications for Comcast funding of Black businesses now open. So recently, Comcast launched this RISE initiative. It stands for Representation, Investment, Strength, and Empowerment. And RISE aims to boost small BIPOC, which stands for Black, Indigenous, People of Color, owned businesses with grants and in-kind resource donations and training over a 3-year period. Those include a media and technology resources program to aid businesses with their marketing and media campaigns, as well as technology makeovers in the form of upgraded hardware, software, and internet services for up to a year, online tutorials, and grants of up to $10,000. Comcast used NBER information to structure its, I can't remember what NBER stands for. I apologize. I'll try to find that National Bureau of Economic Research. So it was quoted a little bit earlier. So they use NBER information to structure its phases of giving, with the first round of applications open to Black business owners, and the next open to other members of the BIPOC community as well. Mark Nugent, who is the Senior Director of Business Development for Comcast Oregon, told the scanner, "It's personal for me. I have family and friends in the Black community very close to me who are small business owners. I've seen the struggles myself personally. Being able to get your name out there, being able to have the technology you need to run and grow a business, those are critical. Those are things that aren't just a convenience." So, in terms of applications, applications for the quarterly program are assessed by a third party in Philadelphia. Amy Keeter, Director of External Communications for Comcast Oregon, told the scanner, "Applications do not need to be Comcast customers, but must operate businesses within Comcast coverage areas. For more information and to apply, visit comcastrise.com/apply. That's comcastrise.com/apply." The next article, or the last two articles, are actually featured articles related to Black entrepreneurs. So this first couple I actually do know. We're part of a group together. So it states, despite the pandemic, and this comes from blackbusiness.com. Blackbusiness.com wrote, despite the pandemic, this Black couple has doubled their employees and have been featured in Forbes. So Tim and Kim Lewis, founders of Curl Mix, have been able to not only double their amount of employees, but also earn themselves a feature in Forbes magazine. The couple was in the national spotlight last year when they famously turned down nearly $500,000 deal on ABC's Shark Tank. However, their company has been so successful during the pandemic that it is now set to launch a second e-commerce brand. Despite the pandemic, they have managed to add nearly 20 new jobs between their remote work and in-person positions. All of their entry-level positions start at $17 an hour $17 and up, and include full benefits like health, dental, vision insurance, and 401k. This first quote actually comes from Tim. It's short. He says, "We are getting so many new customers, many of whom are shopping online for the first time. We could not keep up. We had to start hiring fast." Kim added, "Our greatest accomplishment is to be able to employ Black people and pay them a living wage and not a minimum wage. We have a staff of nearly 40 people in manufacture here on the west side of Chicago. When my team says they can afford their first ever apartment, go back to school, or afford to buy an engagement ring for their fiance, that is more rewarding than any accolade we could ever receive. We are changing lives with our products for customers and with our employees as well." Kim also says, "We have been approached by several of the mass retailers, but because we have focused on direct to consumer with our e-commerce platform, and our business has been thriving. Our goals now are to keep growing and to keep people safe and supported. Luckily, we haven't had anyone contract COVID-19, and we hope to keep it that way as well." So shout out to Kim and Tim Lewis. They're some of the smartest entrepreneurs that I personally know and that I personally see operate. So shout out to them and their business, Curl Mix, located on the west side of Chicago. The last article comes from the Winston-Salem Chronicle, and it's a community newspaper, and it's talking about Black-owned wine company produces first product. So it's talking about Jacoma Martin and her business, Oak City Bubbly. They recently launched their first product, Blush Crush. Blush Crush is a rosé wine that is packaged in a can, which makes it convenient for travel, beaches, parks, or outdoors without the hassle of corkscrews or wine glasses. Before she started the company, Martin worked in the hospitality industry and initially started a mobile bartending business. Martin and her husband continued to toss around ideas, and after collaborating with business partners, they chose to begin Oak City Bubbly. Martin said in a quote, "We had a connection in North Carolina with a family that has a beautiful vineyard, and they had more capacity to create a rosé. So that is how we got the wine. We had a few product ideas from start to finish." She goes on to say, we are all about buy local and drink local. We are female, minority, black owned, and there is a push to support black businesses and local businesses as well. I tell my friends all the time that it's not something you just jump in and do. She's talking about entrepreneurship. I'm very proud that on the front end that I sacrifice. When I say I sacrifice, I mean I was very, very smart about making sure I save my money, and by doing so, it has allowed me to not feel the pressure as much as it relates to growing her business. Lastly, she says, I do come from Winston-Salem, and of course, I don't come from a family with money. So everything that I have done has been from the ground up. No inheritance, no real business connections, no investment partners. So I just hope that when people see the product on the shelf, they understand it's a Black woman who owns this product. Martin has plans to expand their wine selections following the rosé. They plan to have a Chardonnay and a Cabernet, as well as a craft beer as well. So lastly, she says, we definitely want to become a household name, especially in our community. All right, so those are my top 5 favorite articles for today, November 5th, 2020. Please let me know what you think about any of the articles in the comments. Also, let me know what you think about the FJT 5 segment in general. And if you have any comments or improvement suggestions in terms of how to make this segment better. Last but not least, please make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to the Financial Juneteenth channel if you'd like to receive more content like the content that we produce with the FJT 5. So on behalf of Financial Juneteenth, my name is Lawrence Watkins. Take care, be blessed, and have a wonderful day. All right, bye-bye. Today's video is brought to you by the Black Business School. At the Black Business School, we don't help you just climb the corporate ladder, we help you build your own as well. We provide a culturally relevant yet practical education in all things wealth building at an affordable price. So no matter if you want additional freedom in your day-to-day life, you would like to leave a legacy of generational wealth behind to your family and friends, or you just want additional security and stability going into your golden years of retirement, the Black Business School has courses and offerings for you. So head over to theblackbusinessschool.com to learn more. Take care and see you in class soon. Bye-bye.